Yep, that initial breath here. Just begin to let the inhales and exhales flow through our body. We're trying to make our inhales equal in length to exhales. So sometimes that requires a little bit of counting to make sure, how many counts is my inhale? How many counts is my exhale? And let's try to keep those equal for today. Another good breath just to help us establish that steady rhythm. And keep that breath flowing as we take just a moment longer to connect with our intention for today. Our equinox, our spring equinox just passed. And so that's one of the 2 days of the year when the amount of light is equal to the amount of darkness. It's like the equator is facing just the right place for the sun to keep that in balance, to keep it perfect. And so it's a good time of the year to play with that idea of balance internally, to play with the idea that, I don't have too much focused on my physical side. Maybe I'm making sure to balance off with my emotional side or my spiritual side or my mental side. I'm not neglecting any one part of me. I'm keeping myself in balance. And so we'll be physically exploring that by taking some different kind of balancing poses. It's fun to do balance with the hammock because we have that aid to help us out. But generally speaking, balance works best when we have 3 things all working together. You have your vision, you're able to see, to calibrate, am I falling over or am I in balance? You have your ears, especially inner ears, and then also your feet on the earth. And so we'll take a couple of different poses later on with feet playing into the earth to help us be in balance. And besides that, we'll just be playing with left and right sides, trying to keep everything equal. Imagine your midline is like the equator. We're helping to stretch it to one side and then the other, but then coming right back to that tall equator, just right there in the middle. So with all these fun ideas to lead us into our class today, let's take some nice initial stretches. Arms going all the way to the back wall. Let's let the shoulders wiggle right. And shoulders wiggle left. Take it a couple of times to each side, kind of playing with what it feels like to tilt to one side. Imagining one side is like the sun, and then tilting to the other side. Imagining that's like tilting away from the sun toward darkness. So just play maybe one more around each side. Good, and then as we're back through the center, let's take our right knee in. Give that hip flexor just a moment. Good, and as we start to stretch this right leg up to sky, let's focus on our toes for a second. Like I promised, that part of what we'll be doing is focusing on the foot to make sure that that foot can keep us in balance. And so do some circles or maybe spell your name out or whatever it is to help us kind of wiggle around with that foot. If there's extra tight spots that you discover on your foot or ankle, pause there or do some extra little circles or rotations to that side. Good. Another breath in and out. And then kind of clasping hands around the back of the thigh or calf area. Take a couple of pulses, letting that knee bend just a little bit and then straighten up as much as the muscle fibers will allow for. And then just do those pulses again. Bend and straighten. Maybe 3 more. After the 3rd one, leave the legs straight, just an extra full breath cycle, equal inhale, balancing off with equal exhale. Good. Hook this right foot over to the back left edge, supported by our ear. Once you've hooked the ankle through that back left edge, you're going to slide the shin in. This will get us into that right hip. lost the equal breath, try to reconnect with it. Another good inhale. Exhale, breathe this foot out. Maybe give it another stretch up to sky and then drop it down. Second knee comes in. Give it a hug for a moment. And leg up to sky when you're ready. Give that toe a little bit of attention here. Maybe we're doing circles, maybe we're signing our whole name out. Whatever helps us to get into those foot muscles for a moment. It was funny, I was chatting with a teenager a couple of weeks ago and she just had never thought about how your foot actually has muscles. So she asked me, okay, if I strengthen my foot muscles, what does that help me with? And it's, the answer when you realize it, it's like, oh, it's just balance. That helps you balance so much better to get that foot strong. Good, so now focus on the pulse, letting the knee bend a little bit and straighten. Take that a couple more times. Trying to get the straighten spot even deeper each time. Maybe one more. When it's back up to straight, hold it in, an even inhale. Even exhale. And then hook the heel over to that back right spot, slide the shin in, give it a couple of breaths. One more inhale. Nice exhale, free out this leg. Drop the leg down. Let's leave legs inside the fabric for this moment. We're going to come into a little bit of a back bend. So if your back knows that heading backward would throw you off balance right now, you don't have to go very far. Just free up to your shoulder area and then let that amount head backwards off the back end of the fabric. If you know that you would like a bit more, you can set up and take the fabric down a bit further, up to like the back side of the front line. So it doesn't have to be that far, but you choose if it wants more. If you're taking it that far, usually grip on and then slide the fabric down as you head backwards. You choose how much feels good. You could let go of hands, but that would make it more intense. So up to you, find the perfect amount of back bend. And it's up to you how long you stay with the back bend. At any point that you're ready to go up, you'll just let yourself take the reverse stretch, just stretching over your two straight legs, but don't feel like I'm rushing either. It's however long feels good for your back. Still no rush to come up. If you're up, kind of let both hands reach toward the toes. The knees can be bent. That actually is really helpful for the back area if that's what you're working on. Straightening the legs does make it a bit deeper for not only the leg stretch, but the back stretch also. So choose the perfect amount of stretch to take. And again, not any pressure, you don't have to do this, but if reaching your feet is pretty easy, maybe you give your feet just a little mini massage. It's almost like a little act of love for all they do for us, keeping us in balance. And I'm giving squeezes all over. Nice inhale. Exhale. And then we'll begin to kick our feet off the front. We're sitting up. Our spine nice and tall, like that equator spot that we talked about. So let's take a little twist to each side. Let's bunch up the fabric towards the front door. From there, that already kind of starts to turn you into a twist. So if that's enough, that's fine. If your back arm, the arm that's pointing toward the mountains, if that arm wants to open up, that'll help get you deeper, or it can circle all the way around the back side of the head. You choose the perfect amount of twist. Remember, we're not sacrificing our spine to try to twist deeper. Instead, we're straightening up and then rotating around. Just like the earth spiraling around its equator. A nice inhale. Nice exhale. Releasing our hands. Just feel your spine start to return back to that straight middle spot. And then whenever you're ready for second side twist, bunch up the fabric. The back arm opens or circles. Pull yourself spiral along that middle column. Good. Take one more inhale. Nice exhale. Unwind your spine. And from that twist, it'll feel nice to go into a nice inversion, letting the spine just hang down. So hook your thumbs on the back edge of the fabric. We're taking the fabric to the back side of the pant line. Once you've got that grip, lean halfway back to lock it in place. Hands can grip back on. The last step, legs go wide so you don't pull out. Wrap your ankles. And then you can just release hands, let the spine, let everything just drop down. The nice thing about this balance idea that we're talking about today is that normally people don't go upside down, but by going upside down today, we're actually finding a whole new type of balance to our body. Being upside down has so many benefits, such as in those little return vessels. There's little doors that are in our veins that help make sure that the blood does not backflow. And so getting to be upside down actually flips those doors around so that the doors get to work in the other direction. That helps keep those in balance. So helpful for the heart to have this break because it doesn't have to pump so much to get the blood into the brain like it normally does. So you know my rule with inversion, stay as long as it's still feeling helpful for your body. At any point that any system of your body says, okay, I think it's time to come up, we'll just come on up. It's okay if some of us are sooner. It's okay if some of us are later. It's okay if you go come up and down, take little breaks. It's all up to you listening to your body. And if you come up before others, you take a nice little recovery pose, floating child, just hanging out here. And that's that blood pressure, including the spine attempts to all come back to equal. Make sure we take lots of time in our recovery poses. So helpful for our system. If you're still upside down, feel free to just enjoy it a bit longer. The rest of us that are up, and if we feel like our recovery is pretty complete. If that's you, we'll take a couple of additional leg stretches here. So if you're with me, let's sit up. Let's bring our hands onto the inside. And we've kind of got two ways to do this. Option one would be grabbing hands around our right foot, leaning back a little bit to stretch right leg up to sky. Option two is more of a hook around your right thigh. So kind of setting up a hug around that thigh the best that you can and then extending the leg up. So whatever feels like it would help you begin to stretch that leg out, take that option. These leg muscles, it's so easy for them to get so tight. And so we take moments like this to make sure that our body's in balance between that left and the right side, between just working and resting. It's that length that's so critical. On this side, let's take another huge inhale. An easy exhale. And then start to release this foot down. You're ready for second side. Do whatever you just did, whether it's the hug around the thigh or the clasp around the foot. Let's begin to find that same type of extension upward here. If our breath can continue with equal counts inhale, equal counts exhale. Another 2 breaths on this side. Good, and then dropping it down. Good, let's take our floating child just for a moment longer, working through some neck tightness. So hooking the elbows, lean forward, let the head go over to the right shoulder. And then drop down, head over to the left shoulder. And you choose the pace, but take just a few more rounds with the head. Eventually, let's work it down to the center, and then take one more good inhale, equal length. With the exhale. Good. Sitting up. We head out of the fabric by gripping on. That just makes sure that since our toes can't touch the ground, we're not going to face dive. So arms grip on, hips lift up and out. And then circling our arms around, let's go arms above the head and around. Go the other way. So yep, circle around and then there. And then one more time. So 2 reps. Good. Feet stay right underneath us. And then imagine the hips are becoming the equator. So let the hips go all the way backwards as far as they can, like that equator. And we'll start to circle around the globe. You choose the pace. Sometimes I'll even pause to one side. Eventually go forward, maybe a little pause. Eventually to the other side, pause. Then backward. You can go faster than this, you can go slower. Take it to this side a couple more times, basically until our hands need a break, and then you'll just kind of stand in the middle, giving your hands that little break, opening and closing. Especially feel us rocking around, kind of massaging the whole of the feet out. Rocking to the front of the feet, rocking to the back of the feet. Good. So maybe a little hand break if you're ready for it. Open and close or wiggle. A little bit of attention. And then when you're ready to go the second direction, we'll take a few rounds. So when your hands are happy to grip again, take it to the other direction. Especially focus on those feet, just rocking all the way around. Hips all over the equator. If there's special angles, by the way, just pause. If there's something that just feels good on the shoulders or on the spine or whatever it is. You can always just choose to pause. Just feel free to keep on going until your hands are ready for that second break, at which point you can unwind your arms all together. That'll help me know where we're at, how we're doing. Good. And then let's free ourselves out for a moment as our hands are recovering. Let's do a little strengthening exercise for our feet. So lifting up the 10 toes. Try to get the balls of the feet to try to get just the big toes to touch. Touch down to the ground is what I mean. So you can feel how that's strengthening a part of your foot. I'm going to call this the big toe mound, one of the 3 mounds that are necessary for us to stand with balance. So keep that side pushing, just another inhale. Equal exhale. Good, now lift the big toe up. Try to get the pinky toe to touch. That's the second mound. So feel how it's a different kind of strength, different muscles that are pushing down to that side. Good, nice inhale. Exhale. Good, lift all the 10 toes up. The heels are our third mound, by the way, so we're not necessarily going to be working on that right here, but what I want you to do is take a little challenge, see if you can get big toes and pinky toes only to touch. All the rest of the 3 are trying to stay lifted. I know it's hard. Yeah, it's funny how like my hands are making this claw shape to try to help my toes out. Good, so one more inhale. Exhale. Lift up all 10 toes. And then push the feet solidly into the earth. We're counting down with a push for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. So feel how solid the feet are. So as we scoop back, take the fabric in front of us and feel the feet that solid in the earth. It's like we're trying to create footprints in our mat as we start to head forward, just nice and easy. And as we start to sway left and right, feel how your feet are kind of shifting around to keep you in balance. So see if as much as possible, we're trying to get all 3 of those mounds to press down into the earth, rather than just lifting one up and lifting the other. Try to keep the feet equally pressing down. You can obviously bend the knee if the knee needs a little, if it's taking too much pressure. And then maybe sway all the way over to front door, bending that right elbow down. Feel the feet and how, especially that right foot, the big toe wants to lift. See if you can keep it pushing down. Good. Sway over to back door, bending left elbow down. Try to keep that left big toe pressing down. Good. Right back there in the center. Take a nice little cat. Trying to find that equal space in the spine again. A nice cow, dropping the belly down, gaze up. Good. Bending the knees. Let's roll our way back up to stand. Beautiful effort. Let's take our right thigh into the fabric. Make sure you're not standing too far back up from line. If you're super far back, you can see how it's like a struggle just to stand. The angle is tilted way toward you. So instead you want to be standing pretty close to underneath. The head gazing up is like 2 or 3 inches behind the line. So from this spot, let's take flat hands high. Let's start to sink our weight forward. Maybe the back heel lifts, that's okay. It's getting a new spot of our foot to get a little bit of action. Maybe even dropping the heel down gets us into a nice calf stretch. Good. From here, we'll rotate directly into warrior 2. So both hands grip on left strand. Then rotate that back heel to be down. We're facing toward back door. And notice that entire left foot is solid on the ground. We don't let the pinky toe lift. We don't let the big toe lift. It's all solid. So you sink toward the mirror. Maybe one arm opens forward, maybe one arm backward. Try to keep the spine lifting up rather than leaning forward or back. Just trying to be that nice equal spot right there in the middle. Good work. Hands grip on. Squeeze our thighs together. We come over our standing foot. Let's take tree pose for a moment. So tree pose is one where we can try to take the foot up to the thigh. It's nice here because the fabric helps us to have balance. So if you can, try to bring hands apart. You can always grab the fabric if needed. And just like I talked about earlier, there's 3 points that are necessary for balance. So one is eyes, one is ears, one is the foot on the ground. So let's try to take away one of those. Take away your sight. Closing your eyes, see how much balance you can have versus how much you're kind of trying to utilize that fabric to help you. Good. Opening up the eyes. Let's slide ourselves down. The fabric going to ankle. We're still facing toward the back door. Let's slide our right hand down, our left hand up. Keeping those shoulders open, maybe sink forward. Good. Squeezing our thighs together, weight comes back, grip one hand on each side. As we face forward, your choice. You can either slide down or you can slide up to take more of a split. It's whatever feels better on our muscles right now. Good catch. Okay, coming back, let's step this foot out. Maybe the foot that was standing needs a little bit of attention for a moment, so maybe you're rolling around or shaking it out. The different kind of strengthening that we don't always include. Good. Okay, whenever you're ready for left leg to be in, bring that thigh all the way in. Make sure you're not too far back of plumb line. Flat hands high, sinking forward. If we want to get into heel, once you kind of rocked forward, try to let that back heel get closer and closer and closer to the ground. Gripping both hands on the right side, rotate open. Warrior two, maybe arms open up, keeping the spine nice and upright. We can sink our weight forward toward mirror side. Feel your foot equally pressing down, not just relying on the pinky toe side. Good. Hands grip on, squeezing our thighs together, tree pose. The foot can come to the thigh perhaps. Set the posture up tall again. Maybe hands to heart if the balance is there. Feel this bottom foot pressing equally into the ground, all three of those points, heel, big toe, pinky toe. If you're ready to try the challenge, try to take the eyes out of the picture. Closing them. See, there's that immediate catch, I need the fabric. Maybe another inhale. Equal exhale, eyes can open. Good, let's flip down to ankle. We're opening our chest, sliding left hand down, right hand up. And maybe sinking our way forward like a side splits. Nice inhale. Exhale, come back, grip one hand on each side, face forward. This is the one, either slide down or slide up, splits. Nice inhale. Exhale. Back over our standing leg. Let's step this foot out. Maybe our standing foot needs a circle or two. Maybe the shaking out. Nice little massage. Good. Okay. So let's take a hip hang. So our hands grab onto the fabric. We take the fabric up to our hip bones, even coming up to tippy toes if you need. We want to take the slack out. So usually I'll do like a step forward, and then I'll begin to bend at the waist, freeing my thumbs out before they're stuck. As I reach down, several steps back will take me under plumb line. This can be a deep massage on the hips before our hips are ready to it. It's like a downward dog. So you can ease some of that hip pressure by pushing hands and feet into the earth, lifting it super, super high. Or if anybody wants to do the hip hang, maybe try to lift the toes. Maybe hands go for these or for a clasp behind your back. Just feel the feet with freedom if you lift. So easy, just wiggle those toes out. Those that are still doing okay being upside down, maybe we'll take 3 or 4 more good slow breaths. Equal inhales as exhales. You finish that 3rd or 4th one, we'll begin to let the toes find the earth. Walking forward on the feet, feel the feet make their way up until they can be flat on the earth. And then from that spot, just easily roll the spine up. Once you're up, flip the fabric around behind you. Let's catch ourselves. Take a couple of breaths leaning back. Sometimes the hips need a little massage after that, that deep opening. So sometimes a little pounding on the hips can feel nice. Other times I really want to move into my ribs, my waist, my shoulders. So I'll bend to my right knee and then sway my elbows close to that right knee. Then I'll straighten that leg, taking it all the way over to the left. So if that feels good, maybe you can do that. Just take another 2 or 3 breaths if needed, helping our body to recover from being upside down. Good work. So if we're feeling okay, we're safe to be back up. Let's free ourselves of fabric, standing behind it again. And let's do some of our stretches with the leg entirely covered in the fabric. So let's wave it out, making sure nothing's doubled over. And then from here, when our right leg starts to go inside, cover up the whole thigh. Good. This will be one of those spots you don't want to stand too far back. It's like that struggle. You can feel your body trying to pull against it to stay in balance. So instead, we'll hop forward. And it's like our leg practically floats just right under that front line. So from that spot, let's dive our elbows inside and then push elbows out to left and right. This will lift the leg right up into a nice stretch. Feel your foot on the ground, especially as you start to lift your torso up. Feel how it shifts around, trying to stay with balance. So then once posture is tall again, we'll take a little twist. Right hand reaches up to sky. And then right arm reaches all the way to that back wall. Just feel your standing foot. Notice if it wants to rock toward big toe or whatever. See if you can keep it all equally pressing down. Good. Return that arm all the way forward. And then from here, on this left long edge, we're gonna slide the right hand to reach up super high, left hand at the heart. So once we're here, turn ourselves toward the back door again. The left hand at heart, right hand up high. Good. And then we'll begin to bend the hips. Sometimes I'll just pause, gripping on tight. It's a nice half lean forward. Sometimes I'll continue to slide down until left hand can go to floor. Sometimes I'll lean my weight toward mirrors, even hopping my hand forward where it is. No matter where you ended up, feel that foot on the ground, pressing all points equally down. Good. To come back, let's shift our weight over standing leg. If left hand drop down, grab on. And then a little bend to that knee gives us a spring action to pop up off of it. Good. Grab onto each side, rotate back forward. And then like a pigeon pose, bend the knee, making sure we cover up to glute. Dive the shoulders through the center. Then let's get into our calf stretch for a moment. So we're trying to get kind of our weight is rocking forward a little bit and we're pushing like back against that back heel and letting it's almost like we like hopped forward a little bit so that we can let that back heel drop down into a little calf stretch. Good. You got it. And then shifting into a toe stretch, slide the foot a bit further back. And then rock forward on the toes. Good. Shifting into a quad stretch, left hand grabs up for that left foot. For a lot of people, just letting that leg dangle like this is already a huge stretch for that quad. If you need more, you can tilt the knee backwards a little bit. This foot that's in front of me, I'll usually keep it active so I'm not just collapsing into the ankle. So you could either stay here, you could drop it back down, or you can try out lotus, bringing the foot in front. Maybe the heel can stack on the other leg, getting that hip to rotate open into a nice little stretch. If the friction's there that you don't have to use hands, maybe hands go to heart, but this one has to go there. Good. Okay, dropping this leg back down. We're gonna head to pigeon pose so our weight rocks forward. You could feel earlier how you can play with either the toe stretch while we're in pigeon or kind of hopping forward, go into more of the calf stretch. So you can play with that. If your hip wants more, you'll slide some of the fabric off the glute down toward the knee area. So you can kind of play with exactly how your weight is distributed to get into calf or into toe stretch. Good. Okay, weight comes over hips. We're shifting our shoulders up. And what we're going to try to do is bunch up the fabric, taking that right foot, like the arch of the foot, to gather up the fabric. So now right foot is standing on the inside of everything. Good. So this right foot will get a little massage as we come up to tree pose. So from here, slide the hand up high. Try to do a slow, controlled rise up so you don't swing like crazy. Trying easy up. From there, this left thigh wraps around. like a tree pose. Yep, wrap around the back. And then left hand, and then left elbow, and then left shoulder has to come forward and through. Kind of feels funky, but once you got it through, you can bring hands to heart. Maybe the foot goes higher. If you ever need to drop down early, that's okay. We're breathing into that massage that's happening on the bottom of that right foot. So if it's tolerable, maybe we'll aim for 3 more equal breaths. Equal inhale, we'll exhale. Good. After the third breath, we'll ease our way out. So right hand grips on for safety. Left hand grabs on as soon as it can to bring out the shoulder. Then just easy step down to the ground. Both feet can get a little massage. They both have done a lot. One got the pressure, one got the standing. So give it both some love. Good. If that starts to feel good, let's make sure the fabric's freed out again. This time, left thigh goes inside. We make sure we're not standing too far behind plumb line, so hop forward is a good option usually. And whenever we make it there, both elbows come inside, push the elbows out to lift this leg up toward your torso. Beautiful. Release. The left arm goes to the twist, so lift it up to the side, rotate it flat back wall. Feel your standing foot trying to stay in balance. Try to keep all points equally pressing down. Good. Arm starts to return. And then once we're there, free out your right shoulder. We're gonna grip onto the right side. So the right hand's at the heart, left hand is slid up, and then rotate your toes toward front door. Good. Once you're there, maybe you start to bend at the hips. That nice half lean could be good. Maybe you go so far that right hand goes to floor. Maybe you lean toward mirrors, even hopping the hand in. Good. Feel your foot pushing all points equally into the ground. Good. Hips come over your standing leg. Your hand grips on for safety. Do a little spring to your knee to help pop you up. Rotate to face back forward. Cover up the glute, bend the knee out to the side like pigeon. Shoulders dive through the center. Let's try to see if we can play around until we get into calf. So maybe a little hop forward, trying to drop the heel back. If your heel touches the ground easily, maybe you have to go slightly back of that. It's kind of like playing around until you feel that perfect spot where your heel can kind of drop down, and in that action of trying to drop, it gets into that little stretch. And then sliding the foot back into toe stretch. And as far as I can rock forward on those toes. And quad stretch, right hand scoops up the right ankle. You don't pull the quad stretch, pull the knee backwards a little bit. Foot in front of you, perhaps make sure it's flexed. Lots of activity going on there. You could stay, you could go to lotus, you could drop the foot down, up to you. Feel some of those muscles on that right hip trying to open up. Inhale, exhale, free the foot down. Let's go into pigeon. So maybe the the bottom foot is in calf stretch, or maybe it's slid back to toe stretch. Either way, as we're leaning forward, if you need more for the hips, start to slide the fabric closer to the knee. I'll kind of then let my hips drop down, and that's where I get the juicy spot. Good. Hop the foot underneath your body. Easy standing up, only getting your shoulders free when you have balance. Once your knee rotates up, start to slide the fabric under that foot. And we've got that pretty good. We try to rise up slowly with control, so hands rise. Use some leg strength. Lift. Wind the right thigh from the back around the front. And then it's the right shoulder. It feels funky to get there, but it's the right shoulder that needs to go forward. Maybe the foot goes higher once your shoulder's forward. Maybe hands to heart. See if we can keep the breath flowing in that foot. We need a little massage after all its work. You can always hop out early if needed. Otherwise, let's try to do 3 more slow, equal breaths. Equal inhale, equal exhale. Only when you finish the 3rd one. Left hand on for safety. Right hand grips as soon as it can. Easy lowering down. Maybe feet shake or feet get a little massage. So much help they did for us today. So this is our last little segment of class. It's about that time we would normally get into Shavasana. So if you're ready to just go into Shavasana, you can. If your body would appreciate one more inversion, you can do any inversion, one of the ones that we practiced earlier, or if you know another one that you'd love to include, that's fine. You're welcome to take a little inversion before your final Shavasana. But when you're ready to rest, you can just wave out your fabric, come inside, and just lay down. Either way, whether we're inverting or not, we show appreciation to our feet. If we're inverting, it's automatically an appreciation just by justice of the feet being high, and so then they get the chance for blood to drain out. And swollen tissue can start to lessen that intensity. And if you're not in the inversion, still rest for the feet. So it might help you to bring the fabric a little bit further down the hips. That might help. So more like cat, like for me is what. So sit up. And bring it down your thighs. Good. And fabric just a little bit further down on your back. To you when to finish this inversion. When you do finish, feel free to just settle straight into Shavasana. It's okay if some of you are in this inversion for even 5 minutes of our Shavasana. It's up to you. Just enjoy it however long it's helpful, and then take your Shavasana when you know it's time. There's some that just got towards Shavasana not too long ago. So those people may just want to rest for a little bit longer. Those that have been here for a while may want to start doing little movements to wake up our body before we come to sit up and wrap up class. So maybe we're stretching our arms to the back, letting those shoulders go right and left. Maybe we're taking a little fetal position, keeping the body long, but rocking onto the side body. So one hip on top of the other hip. And then from that side body, curling in like a tight little ball, arcing back. 2 or 3 times to one side. Before we start to switch onto the other hip. Any of these movements that are just helpful for our system. Now everything feels pretty awesome, pretty balanced, pretty centered. Let's make our way gently up toward a seated place. Hands finding their way in front of the heart. Like that's a symbol of left and right sides coming together in perfect balance. And here we ask ourselves, is there any spot of my life that I can include a little bit more balance in? I can bring it right back to this centered spot. Not too much focus on the inhale, not too much exhale, not too much up or down. Just that perfect balance of it all of it joining together. So with this thought to lead us on, heading us toward a good week of better balance, let's allow ourselves to wrap up the time we shared together today with the sound of Om. Deep inhale now. May we be filled with light, and happiness, and peace. Namaste.